Good morning, fans of the new network. It is James Ernest here on Sarah's playlist with Joel Delaney. Joel Delaney is the vocalist and the lead guitarist from Joetown. We'll be discussing their origins and their connection between bagpipes and rock and roll and their new song, Irish Blessing. Joel, thank you
Right
for
on.
joining. We're excited. I was going to say it's a pleasure to have you back on. We had you on when we had our radio show, and like you said, things have evolved, things have changed, and we're excited to discuss things with you again.
Okay, great.
When did you first become dedicated to music?
Dedicated to music happened when I was like teen years, and I don't know, I just got so immersed in it that other things in life just kind of took a back seat, and
Mhm.
then going into adulthood, that's basically what happened. I mean, there just kind of wasn't anything else in the picture, and it just kind of became my life. I was, I mean, as a teen, I had a bunch of interests. I'm a huge ice hockey fan.
Oh, cool.
Played my whole life. So that was something I was into, but at some point, just guitar took over, and then before you know it, I'm bailing home and hopping in a van and doing it for a living somehow.
Nice. I feel that music and art really help people with their emotions. Do you agree?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, uh, there's something about the personal experience of listening to music, like listening to a record or whatever, or a playlist, or things shuffling through on your earbuds or your headphones or whatever. That is a personal experience, and you get to block the rest of the world out, and if only for those moments, um, kind of have some solace from everything else in your life, kind of closed off from whatever problems and whatever else is going on. And I think that is incredibly healthy to, put those earbuds in or put those headphones on, and have a little bit of shelter from the human condition, if you will.
My son's 12 and he loves taking Sprite containers, 24 packs or whatever, or 12 pack, and using it as extensions of his arms. Um, However, I understand that you consider, your guitars also an extension of your arms.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, as a guitar player, I I've always tried to be, I don't know if try is even the right word, but I've always approached the instrument as just trying to speak through it,
Mhm.
and not as much a technician, and really kind of look at the art aspect and looking at it as like a personal extension. So the guitar does become an extension, and live very much in a performance art kind of way as well. I mean, I mean, I've woodshedded and done my practice as far as playing, but the thing that I most concerns me is just having my personality and what I'm trying to say with the guitar come through, which isn't really about, practice or technique as much as just letting the emotion kind of transfer from me to the instrument
Okay.
and out.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, like you said, translate. I mean, it feels like that translates your emotions and changes them so that you can share them with everybody.
Right. I mean, and I think the whole trick to becoming in tune with the instrument as a player is just to be able to do that without thinking. It's like you got to get yourself out of the way of your wants and desires of what you want to happen with the instrument, and get to the point that you can kind of let it happen, and then you're really kind of emoting through the instrument just instead of thinking about what you want people to hear and then trying to play that. It becomes, if you, it's like, it's what I'm saying is, like, if you can get yourself and your ego out of the way and just
Mhm.
let the playing happen without thinking about it and get into quote unquote the zone. I think
Exactly.
that's the place to be, and it's not guaranteed to always get there, and it's not easy, and it can be one of a million things from a technical problem with equipment that knocks your head out of it, or a bad day somewhere else, or traffic on the way to the gig. I don't know, but any one of a million things can knock you out of that zone. But like trying to stay in that zone when performing as much as possible is what I try to do. In the studio, it's ironically a lot easier
Hmm.
because there's just less input from outside and less stimulation, and just kind of get there a lot easier. Live, it's just there's a lot of stuff going on.
Exactly. The studio kind of blocks you from the rest of the world and allows you to focus. I agree. Yeah, I was going to say when I've been at different recording studios or radio studios, and it definitely has a different atmosphere to it, and you're able to more focus and you're be able to more be one with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, it's easier to get there, but live, I mean, but then sometimes in the studio, like you're trying to get that live feel, and it can get clinical too. So it's really is kind of a balancing act. But it's a balancing act between the technical aspects of making it happen, and then just letting yourself emote as an artist. Because I will say it, like with vocals,
Mhm.
there's a lot less stuff to deal with. It's not like um, you know, I mean, unless you lose your voice bat or something, it's like a string's not going to break. It's like it's your actually your voice, and what you're saying, and lyrics you wrote. So, the guitar itself as an instrument and all the technical part can make it a little hard. Just singing is pretty easy to get there. Close your eyes and hit it, and you're kind of there.
Well, how did Joetown get started back in the 80s?
Well, I mean, basically, like I said, kind of came out of teen years, and ended up bouncing around in a bunch of bands and doing all kinds of stuff like that, and you know, just playing with a lot of different people and figuring out what I want to do. And then eventually, after doing some things, I was just like, uh, I want to do this. I want to do my own thing. And that's also it coincides with singing. I mean, before that I'd sing background vocals and maybe a song here or there, but I was primarily a guitar player. So the Joetown thing was really the transition into, yeah, I can be a front man, I can do this. And that's really, you know, that's really what that's the origins of it. It's growing from um I'm trying to be a kick-ass guitar player to, like, I have so many song ideas, I'm writing so many lyrics, I'm singing my ass off. Wow, I should probably front the band.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, shoot, you had so many ideals and have done so well with the singing. Not just Joetown, but other bands have brought you in to sing for them, and obviously
Yeah,
your
I like
guitar
guesting.
player.
What, I love the one. I've always come from a world of I mean, if there's other musicians, I love jams and guest on this thing or that. But the remote recording aspect that really kicked in during COVID, I think a lot of other people just kind of woke up to, like, the idea of, like, oh, I'll just send the person the tracks and they'll send me some stuff back, and they're a part of it. And so I've done a bunch of that, guesting on different people that I I mean, a guy who's probably one of the best guitar players on the planet, a guy Jimmy Bell, who was
Mhm.
my guitar teacher for years ago.
Oh wow.
He's just such an amazing guitar player, and I've done a bunch of collaborations type of stuff with him, which has been awesome. And then other bands like there's a great doom band called Curse the Sun
Mhm.
that I've done some stuff with those guys. And you know a bunch of stuff. I like working with different people. It's exciting, and it's exciting to just like hit a vocal on something that someone did, and like they kind of give me some notes, and I do it, and then like boom, it's like we're working together on something, and sometimes it's not even same part of the world, you know.
Fans love how high energy Joetown is. How are you able to get that type of energy before a performance?
Um, I've always, it's a lot of it's the influences that I have. I mean, I've always looked at the stage performance as this as important and something to like the crowd deserves like the full delivery. I mean, I've always looked at like, old Van Halen and David Lee Roth, or AC/DC and Bon Scott, or the Stones with Mick Jagger, and look at it like, like what makes them be at that level that makes it their shows such a spectacle, and so something that people just feed off of. And it's a lot of it is a very simple answer. It's like they just deliver the energy. They react, they just plain deliver. I mean, it's rock and roll. You can go back to Chuck Berry or Little Richard. I mean, those guys, I mean, it's not you know, it's not progressive jazz. I mean, you walk out on stage, you got to hit it full force, full tilt. It's not kind of like saunter up and, it's not although I'm a singer songwriter, I don't really do the subdued singer songwriter type of thing. Partly because it's a rock show and it's not supposed to be boring. And look, I mean, I'm excited. The other thing is being grateful. I'm excited to be able, the excitement and the energy is like I'm grateful to be up there doing it. So, I think if someone comes out to see a show, they deserve 100% from the artist or the performer, because they got in their car and came to see you. So, I mean, even if it's not the expectation, I think that's what is deserved.
So you've always given 100%. You've always been very energetic, but in other ways, your music has grown and evolved. How has it grown and evolved and changed over time?
I think mostly just, I mean, the main evolution is just with life and age and writing songs. I mean, you know, uh, subject matter and things like that. I mean, a lot of some of the earlier Joetown stuff was it's just like it was like almost 50s rock and roll type of just, it's Saturday night, just got paid,
So it's
worry about the
more the
money, don't try to
content.
save, like it like straight up, like in a lot, like a big influence with Bon Scott and AC/DC. I mean, a lot of songs are just like straight up like it's Friday night, go
Mm.
out, go sick, party, go nuts, rock and roll. Like, let's get loud, crank the music, drive cars fast. Like just all the. I mean, it seems a little cliche, but at the same time is genuine.
Definitely. But
So,
over time,
I
it's
mean,
felt like
I'm not
you're
living. I'm also, it's also, all the music is going to evolve with how I evolve in my life.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, I have a lot healthier lifestyle than maybe I did 25 years ago. And I guess that comes through in the music. I mean, I'd say the more recent stuff that has come from Joetown is a lot more positive and life affirming, more than just you know, uh, uh, live fast, die fast.
Mhm. So more of a not well, not so much serious, but a more honest tone, I guess.
Yeah, well, it was honest before, because
Yeah, yeah, you
that was the lifestyle then, and it was, kind of the music is an extension of it. I think, I mean, don't want don't want to be too bold and or sound arrogant, but I mean, there's wisdom in age, so
exactly.
I
know
have
it.
kids. That changes your outlook on things, you know, that has a very big um influence on, you know, on how I look at everything. So I don't look at things the same pre offspring or versus post offspring.
So is it that maybe you embrace your Irish American history a little more, or have you kind of always embraced that through your music?
I haven't always embraced that. I mean, when Kerry Galarney came involved with the band, he's been a friend for decades and decades. But I was uh, uh, I was sitting in with his band. He had a really Irish themed band, the Fighting Galarney Brothers, and I would go do. They'd play gigs, and I would like come in and like do the final set with them and do a bunch of stuff, and we, you know, that's where playing Long Way to the Top came in. And he was so involved in the bagpipes, and then he ended up in Joetown, and you know, over a long period of time it just more evolved, and then uh the Irish Blessing song
Hmm.
was kind of the first original that I did with that whole theme in mind. There's more stuff coming like that, but that was kind of the first one. And you know, I mean, I mean, it has influence from the Irish side, but also influence from, you know, just playing Long Way to the Top a million times at gigs. It just like that, just that whole what that song is even kind of has a not even AC/DC overall, specifically that song, a lot of influence because just the bagpipes in a rock and roll song. I mean, that's really the, I mean, that's the trademark of that. So definitely a huge influence from that.
Definitely. And no disrespect to the people that were at the band at the time, but prior to Freight Train, when you rebuilt the band, it really felt like that you took them from a band that was rebuilding into a title contender. Do you agree?
Well, it was a conscious decision to. I had taken a few, you know, I was bouncing around and doing some other things. You know, life gets in the way, so I actually took a little bit of a time away. And it was a very conscious decision to put things back into gear. And I decided to do that with, I had some tunes I wanted to do, so I decided to do that while I was building, you know, a permanent band in the background. I decided to call guys that I know to record and kind of restart what I was doing. I had the Freight Train song ready, and Matt Starr, who's played with a bunch of people, he I've known him forever. He's on some of the earlier Joetown records from the mid '90s, even um, on some tracks, just because, you know, when people are around, they end up on songs. He's a great drummer, so I called him. Another guy, you know, lifelong best friend I've had since I was 15, probably, a guy, Mike Duda. He's been the bassist in Wasp forever. I called him. He got on it, and I mentioned Jimmy Bell before. Um, you know, like amazing guitar player, and I just decided, you know, let me call some of my guys that I've known and have played with me before on different things, and get this started. I mean, at the time I was like, oh God, I wish I could have this band, but those guys are too busy, and I can't I can't compete with a lot of their regular day job gigs that they do. But but it was a really good kickstart into getting things going. And I'm still doing other things where those guys are guesting, or
Oh, cool.
projects with those guys and other guys. But the core band of Darren, Jose, and Carrie, that's the Joetown band now. So aside from guests or finishing songs that got half finished that have different people on them, or all this, you know, it's kind of, I go with a little bit of all of the above on this stuff. It's um if there's a tune and I think it's like, oh man, it's like there's been times where I've been like, I've done a solo, and then I've like, it's like, oh, give Carrie a try on it, and then he does it. It's like, okay, that's cool. Or like, or I just hear a buddy of mine. It's like, ah, man, he'd kill on this. I just I'm very open about involving other people in. So although I have the core band, it's like, I have kind of a old school look on this. Like you look at all so many artists from the 70s and like the like classic rock type stuff, and you end up looking at the, when you had your records and you open it up and you look at the liner notes and you
Oh
see it's
yeah.
like, oh man, you see who guessed it on this or who did a solo there or who was playing cowbell on this, and it's like, oh, how did that happen? And you find out it's like, oh well, his guy was in the studio that day and they said just yeah, hey, you want to do a track? It's like you look at stuff like the Stones with Sympathy for the Devil, and you see you see the films of them making it, and like the faces stop by, and then before you know it, they're doing the background vocal, and it was like, it's just, I mean, I kind of
Yeah.
look at it like that.
Oh, definitely. It's all about collaboration and being able to work together in the music industry. I
And
know.
have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And it sounds like you guys have been doing that for such a long time. Now, the thing that wasn't fun, but I still love the song. It's, I mean, just so intense, and it sounds so much like an actual train. I was going to say, you could probably sell the part without the. You could probably just sell the music to a train museum because I think they would love to play that part. But unfortunately, because of the lyrics, they couldn't play all that because you just are so angry in that song. What were you angry about?
Well, I mean, at the time I was writing it, it was I mean, there's when I was finishing the lyrics and everything, I mean, there was a few cities on fire in the US. I mean, it just looked like things are going to shit, and like I do have I'm not a generally angry guy, but let me just say that I think a lot of the people that represent us
Mm-hmm.
are bought and sold, and they're pimps and thieves and whores in Washington and elsewhere. And if I harp on it a little, it'll get me pissed off because I think we've been fleeced a little bit,
Yeah.
and to say the least. And if that's kind of and it's basically that song is talking about that, and like how much rage that can get someone in. When you really start to think about it, it's like how pissed you're going to get when you really figure out you've been screwed.
Mm-hmm. But
And
yeah,
that's
just the real
it in a
emotion
nutshell.
of it.
I don't feel like no, I don't feel like that every day of my life, and I'm not
Okay.
like, because it's no way to live.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you kind of drill down on it, it's easy to get pissed off.
Yeah. Now, the thing I love about your band is how you have such fun music videos. Now, with shooting a music video, though, I understand it's a lot of trial and error. Is that correct?
Depends. I mean, uh, music videos can be a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
and can cost a lot of money if you really go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what I do with music videos in the past few that I've done, they've really been shot like really documentary style. I mean,
Yeah,
right
you're.
down to like taking a few camcorders,
Mhm.
handing them to teenagers, and having them just literally run along while we're like playing on the back of the truck at different events and stuff like that. And then and maybe having, I mean, I hired one pro dude to get some real shots, but a lot of it's like, and you can see the motion on some of the on some videos where it's just like it's like really chaotic
Mhm.
footage and everything, because it's like it's like, here you go, it's like, keep up with the truck and try to get and if you see anything cool happen, make sure and get it. It's like that was, and then the time ends up being sorting through all that footage. But I mean, it's more like reality chaos
Mhm.
TV music video than like what you consider a traditional music video. And because we were doing, and we still do this year, we've done three like those events where we're on the truck, and
Yeah.
we did in Connecticut, we did two of the parades, and we do another one next year. We're doing the New York parade and the Boston parade as
Oh,
well.
wow, cool.
So like, and it's amazing, you play for an entirely new crowd of a few thousand people every block.
Mhm.
So it's unique. And when we did Long Way to the Top and Irish Blessing, I was like, you know what, this is such a wild thing and so unique. It's like when you think of a band, I mean, obviously we're not the first band to hop on a truck and do that, whether it's AC/DC or the Stones or whoever, but it's such a, from the perspective of playing on the truck and doing that, it's so mental and crazy. I was just like, we have to, I have to use this as the basis for a couple of videos and just at least document what this is, because it's kind of crazy. And I want to at the very least like put it in stone, documented, because it's fun and crazy. And the Long Way to the Top remake, they did that way in the early days for AC/DC. So that was part of the inspiration for it. And the other half of it was just that we were doing these parades and things. And yeah, I did those videos are like a reality TV documentary of the experiences rolling around very various cities on the back of this thing and not falling off, which was the first thing to
That
figure
is the
out.
important part, yes. But yeah, the chaos and intensity, though, I mean, it kind of goes along so well with your music because your music has that type of intensity to it. I think that's really why it blends so well. That and it does have, some of the fans involved in the video as well, which is just so neat because not a lot of artists include them.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes to the thing. It's like I didn't want it to be like just pictures of us on the truck.
Mhm.
I wanted to kind of like capture like the whole experience of what was going. I mean, what goes on at these things. I mean, it's like it's people lined up and down all the way through the cities, um, and you see a lot of the reactions. It's like I mean, you got fife and drum corps,
Mhm.
and then like a dance troupe, and then a high school thing, and then a radio station, and then something else, and then we come rolling through at 130 dB, like concert on wheels, and people go people go nuts. So it's great.
Exactly. It is awesome. So tell us about that new song, Irish Blessing.
So Irish Blessing. So in our house, my dad always had in a couple of places in the house, there was like a Irish plaque type thing that I think he got in Ireland with like the traditional Irish blessing there. It's right over the door when you walk in our house. And when I was writing the song, my dad had passed a few years before, and it just kind of popped up where it's like, wow. But and when I was walking, I walked under where the plaque with the blessing was, and I was like, you know I should just incorporate that lyric and make that like the centerpiece of a song, because it's just, I've looked at it so many times
Mhm.
and just has a connection to it. And I thought it could be the basis of our first like original tune with the bagpipes and everything. And like it takes it somewhat of a traditional Irish type thing, but it's still obviously firmly in the rock side as well. And like I said, I mean, if there's a template for it, the Long Way to the Top thing is definitely the inspiration. I'm not I'm not gonna not gonna try to hide that at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, we know you love the AC/DC. They're a great band. I mean, they're just, I mean, one of the best of all time. And it really shows that their inspiration has inspired you to create such great music.
Thank you. I mean, I love AC/DC, especially I mean, the Bon Scott era stuff is what really nailed me. I mean, I love Brian Johnson, Back in Black, and all the other records. They're awesome, but there's something just so primal about the early AC/DC stuff with Bon Scott. I just love it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to forget to talk about Mindscape Music. They are a phenomenal organization. We've loved working with them. Tell us about your experiences with them.
Well, Mindsnap is Opus. Christian Lawrence, he started the label there, and I've known him forever. I had a label in the 90s with Joetown Records and had some of his bands on my label, and now I got my band on his label years later. It's just really helpful. We have a good relationship where we just help each other advance the cause for each other. And that's really what it's about. I mean, I work with him on it because he helps get the word out in like things like this and other stuff, and just advances the cause. We've always kind of had a back and forth helping each other that way, and it continues.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, he's been a pleasure to work with, and he's introduced me to such great artists. I was going to say that's his big philosophy is it's all about collaboration. It's all about reaching the hand out and pulling the next person up as opposed to holding people down. I really think that is phenomenal in the industry because most of the time people are the other way around. They're trying to figure out their way to get ahead, but knock everybody else back.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's come full circle because his band was that band was on my label, and that was my whole thing when I was doing that side of the business. It was all collaboration and all everybody on everybody's records, and like just a total free for all. And if you get enough really talented creative people working together, then yeah, that's usually when good things happen.
Yeah. Now, you'd mentioned earlier you'd played hockey. Do you ever get any chance to do like the anthem for hockey games, anything like that?
I've been trying to get the anthem. I've been working on that and talking to uh, some of the AHL farm teams for the NHL teams in Connecticut and New England overall. So I have been talking to them. Also, some of the baseball teams. So I'm trying to make it happen to do that because I love doing it, and I typically open every show with it, and I have done it at other like civic events and things like that. So I'm juggling through the red tape of getting into the sports world on that.
Oh, definitely. It can get pain in
Um,
the neck sometimes.
and I hope it happens. I was talking to friends, and I was telling my wife, I think I got to look at this like because it's sports. I got to look at it like sports. I got to get in. I got to get in and get signed with a farm team, and if it goes
Mhm.
well there, maybe they move me up.
Exactly. Or throwing this out there, because when I've done covered sports, uh, colleges are a lot easier to get into than professional. So you can get in with a college and then also throwing out the idea of saying, hey, I want to do the anthem, but then I also want to do a post-game conference or a concert. I think that also would really sell it.
Yeah, I'll
Is
try.
that
Yeah, it's a good idea. I will try the colleges as well. Um, One that was on my list for that is, we have, I'm in Connecticut, so we got Quinnipiac and Yale Division I teams right here close to me. So
oh
there's
gosh,
that. Yeah, and UConn Final Four right now,
exactly.
both men and women. So yeah, I got to get on that too. The whole anthem thing, I've done it for a while, but I only started pursuing the idea of like, wow, I should do this in some other places this year, and people are starting to get back to me. It's got to work through so like I said, I got to work through the red tape, and I'm sure once I blast it at one of these places, I'm sure it'll blossom from there.
Exactly. The video go viral, and then all the other people they'll be calling you instead of you calling them.
And I love doing it. I'm a proud American. I think I love the fact that I love the tradition of the national anthem before events and things like that, because it's an affirmation that we get to do those things, and I think it's important. I love doing. I'm proud to do it.
Well, Joel, it has been a pleasure having you on today. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web can we follow up with you?
It's easy. One place to go is you can just go to joetown.com. And if you go to joetown.com, on the upper right, you can see links to YouTube and Facebook and everything else. YouTube's a good destination for us because I do try to put up a lot of video content. There's In the next couple of months, I've gone back into the catalog and done some various video treatments for 4 songs out of the catalog that'll come in the next couple of months. And we have a new release, a new brand new song that's coming, that'll be in before the summer. So,
That is awesome. Thank you for joining us.
all right. Thank you, James. Awesome, man. Thank you.